Get the ushers come forth. We'll take up the morning offering. Yeah. Probably so. Get Brother Steve if he'll ask the lesson on for Brother Steve. Amen.
Are you weary from the battle you're fighting? Does it seem like the storm just won't break? Is there a mountain in front of you that doubt says will never move? And you wonder, will God make a way? Well, tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty when be strong in the Lord and remember to take hold of faith and stand firm. You can be confident the Lord keeps His promises. If you doubt Him, just read through His word and tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a time. He can work miracles through the impossible. If you don't believe it, just go on and try. And tell me a time He's not been faithful. Tell me a morning His mercies weren't new. Tell me a moment He wasn't able to carry you through. Tell me a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a day He was less than almighty, when He could not roll back the tide. Child, when you look back, you're gonna find there was never a time. I know you're hurting. I see the scars. I know that sometimes life hits you hard, and maybe you're thinking that this is unfair, but somebody sees you, somebody cares. If the clouds are the dust at His feet, just imagine how great He must be, big enough to reach down and supply every need. If the clouds are the dust at His feet. We've all been broken somewhere inside. We've all had failures we try to hide, but God sees the struggles behind the smile. He wants to reach out and just hold His child. If the clouds heart. If the clouds are the dust at his feet, just imagine how great he must be, big enough to reach down and supply every need. If the clouds are the dust at his feet, big enough to reach down and supply every need. If the clouds are the dust at his feet.
Thank you, ladies. Don't normally do this, but I just feel compelled to ask if anybody's got a word they want to say for the Lord this morning.
I just want to say, he's been there for us through so much. He's never turned his back on us, although we turned our back on him some. And the family is going through a lot right now. And I desire the prayers of all of y'all. It's really rough. And we turned it over to the Lord. That's all we can do.
Right.
There's nothing I can say or do to help the situation at all. But he knows. And he knows that they're worried. So I just appreciate all the praise that y'all can send up
Yes,
for
ma'am.
my family. Thank you. But I do love the Lord, and I know he's got it. It's in his control.
That's right.
Thank God for all his blessings.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Me too. Anybody else?
We were gone for a whole week. I saw the miracle of God's hands out there. I see it all too. And we were driving through those mountains and saw the beauty
Mm-hmm.
that we saw. Every one of us said, we don't know how people can say there's not a God
Right.
at the things that he has formed with his hands. He was with us the whole time, and we knew that. We'd go in a restaurant, and we'd all pray before every meal, and nobody else was doing it.
Right.
We saw places that we don't want to go back to. But, I just wish that some people out there had just a little bit of what we got here. They just don't know what they're missing.
That's right.
They don't. And for many, many years, I know y'all all know that song, Hotel California. I never understood the words of that song until I saw what I saw the other week. People get hooked on those things. They think if they just go back one more time, it'll happen for them.
Right.
If they just put that little coin in that machine one more time, they're gonna win the jackpot and their lives will change. When all they really need to do is give their life to God.
That's right.
Then their life will change.
Right.
And I'm just thankful he was with us. One of the girls that was with us, her husband is a pastor, Vicky Shadracks, if y'all know him. And he would tell us every day he was praying for us. And we knew he was. They tracked us on 360, so we knew not only was God with us, but we prayed to God that He would take care of us.
Yeah.
But it just amazes me that people just don't know Him like we do, and we just need to be thankful for what we've got.
That's right.
I'm thankful for what I feel in my heart. I'm thankful for this church. I'm thankful for you and Jamie. And keep praying for us. I've got a child that's going through some bad stuff too. And the only thing I can tell him to do, and I know he gets part of hearing it from his mama, was put your faith where it needs to be.
Right.
Because he's the only one that can help.
Yeah.
And just want to tell you thank you for what you make of this church, brother.
I appreciate that. Anybody else? All right, turn with me to the book of Matthew, chapter number 11. Lord started dealing with my heart about this about Tuesday. And by the testimonies and the songs that we sung this morning, I understand why. We're going to look at the last 3 verses of Matthew chapter number 11. The Bible says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Now, those words are in red because that's who's speaking is Jesus. Now, I understand, and I'm not lost to the fact that we've got people, we've got families that are going through difficulties. They're going through some hard times, some difficult situations, and there's people here today that are tired. I would be counted in one of those. I'm not tired of what's on me, but we can just physically just get tired of all the things that we have to deal with. We get tired of it seems like there's just nothing going right in our lives, and we're just tired. We got some that are fighting battles. We've got some it seems like there's just too much on your plate. Some that we know about and we're praying for, some that we don't know and we want to pray for you. But this morning, I want to remind you and try to encourage you this morning that you don't have to bear these burdens alone. The Bible tells us in Galatians chapter number 6 that we bear ye one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. We are a family. Not only are we a church family, but I consider most of everybody in this room family. I mean, we probably spend more time with you than we do our own family. And we develop a relationship and we develop a closeness. And I am thankful for what the Lord does in every one of our lives and how we can depend on people and people can depend on us. But we don't have to walk this alone, and we can help each other. And I count it an honor when somebody asks me to pray for them and pray for their situations. And please, let's not neglect praying for one another. And when somebody asks us to pray for them, we need to take that with the utmost seriousness and actually do it and pray for their situations, because we physically can't do anything for anybody aside of getting on our knees and begging the Lord for him to intervene in the situation. Just like with with Jill and her granddaughter Anna Mae, there's nothing we could do except to petition the Lord to help her in the situation that she was in. And I'm thankful that the Lord did intervene, and I'm thankful that the Lord did answer those prayers. Now, if you haven't figured out by now, I'm a pretty private guy, and I try to keep things to myself. But with that being said, and I know some people are closed off, but some people are open books, and I'm not one of those open book people. But there are people in my life that I trust, and I will tell them things that I won't normally tell other people. And there's people that God puts in our lives that's our person, that's our people, that's the ones that we can rely on, and we can tell things that we can't really open up to other people about. And you might have one handful of those people, or you might have one or two, but I'm thankful that the Lord provides those people in our life. Now, talking about praying, I don't remember when it was. It was earlier this year. Matter of fact, it was before May. I was speaking with Brother Josh Florence, our missionary, and we was just having a conversation about some things, and at the end of the phone call, he said, "Brother, is there something specific that I could help you pray about?" And there was, and I told him what it was, and he's like, "All right, we're going to make it a manner of prayer." And I'd been praying for it, and he's started helping me pray for it, and lo and behold, the Lord answered that prayer. Now, said all that to say this: at the beginning of chapter number 11, we see that John the Baptist is in prison. And John, well, we'll just read it. I think it's verse number 2, chapter 11, verse number 2. It says, "And now when John had heard in prison of the works of Christ." Now don't lose that. He heard in prison of the works of Christ. He sent 2 of his disciples and said unto him, "Art thou he that should come, or do we seek another?" Now, John, we'll look at John's credentials in just a second, but we got to understand John is in prison. He's in a low point in his life, and he's in prison, and he's hearing of the things that Christ is doing, and he sends 2 of his disciples to ask Jesus a very simple question. It's a very intimate question. He wants to know, are you the one that's sent, or do we have to look for another? This is John the Baptist speaking. The one that was crying in the wilderness, the one that was sent before Jesus to say, this is the one that's this is the one that's coming. It's not me. I'm not the Christ, but it's Jesus. He's in prison, and he's sending 2 of his disciples to go and ask Jesus, "Are you really who I'm looking for, or do I need to look for another?" Now, in Mark chapter 1, the Bible tells us, "At the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, as it is written in the prophets, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, Prepare ye the way of the Lord, make his path straight." Verse 7 says, "And preached, saying, There cometh one mightier than me, or one mightier than I after me, the latches of whose shoes I am not worthy to stoop down and unloose. I indeed have baptized with water, but he shall baptize you with the Holy Ghost, the baptism of Jesus. And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized of John in Jordan. And straightway coming out of the water, he saw the heavens opened, and the Spirit like a dove descending upon him. And there came a voice from heaven saying, Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Now, John was sent before Jesus to show the people, look to him, because he's the one that sent. Now, we just read of what all John got to witness personally himself. Everybody didn't get to see the Spirit descended upon Jesus like a dove. John did. And John got to baptize Jesus. And John heard the voice of God saying, "This is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased." There was no doubt to who Jesus was. And there was no doubt that John knew who Jesus was, because he was the one prepared to go and to proclaim Jesus ahead of him. So everybody knew, this is who I'm talking about. There's no doubt this is the man whom I'm speaking of. John chapter 1, verse number 20, the Jews are interrogating John. Are you the Messiah? Are you the Christ? And John's like, no, I'm not the one. It's Jesus. Jesus is the Messiah. Jesus is the Christ. It's not me. We see all of this, but then we see a man that's lowly, he's beat down, he's in prison, and now he's questioning everything in his life. He's gotten so tired, he's gotten so weary that he can't even recognize and see who Jesus is anymore. I'm not throwing stones at John, because I've been there. I'm not throwing stones at John at all, because John has gotten to a point in his life where everything has gotten blurry. Everything in his life is and think about it this way too. John's in prison and all he's got is time to think. And that's dangerous. When we just have time to just sit down in our thoughts, and our mind will start running wild on us. Our mind will start doing crazy things. It'll start, we'll start questioning things that we know. And how do we know? How do I know this? Because I've done it. This isn't just some crazy idea. This happens to everybody. And John is sitting in prison, and he's sitting there, and now he's starting to question the very being of who Christ is. Now, when we get to a point where everything is just so heavy, we get to a point where everything just seems like it's just, you get so tired. And then you start thinking crazy things, because the devil will sit down beside you and start nudging you on the shoulder or on the arm and saying, "Man, is this all worth it? I can promise you something better." But he can't, because the devil is a liar. But he'll sow that seed of doubt in your mind. He'll sow that seed of bitterness or whatever he can do to try to get you to not even recognize who Jesus is in your life anymore. You say, that can't happen. It happened to John the Baptist, the very one that we just saw. He baptized Jesus and saw the glory of God coming and descending upon John, heard the voice of God saying, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." He knew who Jesus was, but he's in a point in his life where he's so beat down, he's so tired, that he's sending his own disciples to go ask Jesus, Are you who I said you were, or are you somebody, or do I need to look for somebody different? Our text tells us to come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Let's look at what Jesus said to the disciple, to John's disciples. In verse number 4, Jesus answered and said unto them, "Go and show John again." Now that word again means that he's already done it one time before. At least one time before, or else there wouldn't be an again. But he says unto them, "Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear, and the dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me." And the Bible says in verse number 7, "And they departed." Now, what I like about this is Jesus did not condemn John, or he didn't condemn the disciples for coming to him and asking the question that John asked them to ask. He didn't condemn John for doubting him or wondering, is Jesus really who Jesus says he was? Jesus simply stated fact. You just go tell them what you've seen with your own eyes, and you tell them what you've heard with your own ears. And when you tell this to John, he'll remember. When you tell this to John, he'll know that I am the one that he knows I am. Now, at the time where John was low and tired and weary, Jesus simply reminded John who Jesus was, Jesus reminded him who he was. Now, what I want us to notice, we're going to read a couple more verses, and I want us to catch what Jesus is doing. Now, Jesus began to do something else. He began to encourage, he began to honor, and he began to lift up John the Baptist in a time where John couldn't even see who Jesus was. Now, look at verse number 7. It says, and they departed. Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet, for this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist, notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Look what Jesus did for John. Jesus didn't condemn John. Jesus started lifting John up. He started to say, John, other than the least in the kingdom of heaven, John is a great man. John is the one that I sent to pave the way for the things that you'll see come out of me. John was who I sent. John is a man that should be understood that he did what I called him to do. And Jesus was lifting up John. Now, I want us to go back and look at verse number 4. Watch this. I like what Jesus was doing here. Jesus answered and said unto them, go and show John again the things which ye do, what? Hear and see. Now, let me go back to verse number 7 because I don't want us to miss this. This helped me this morning. And they departed. Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John. As the men start to walk away, Jesus starts to encourage and uplift John the Baptist. In a time where he was sending his disciples to question whether even Jesus is Jesus, Jesus said, go tell John what you hear and what you see. And then as they're departing, Jesus starts to tell the multitudes all these great things about John the Baptist. And y'all just have to forgive me in my mind's eye. As these men are walking away, they start hearing Jesus talking good about their boss, John. And I can only just, in my mind's eye, think that they just start slowly walking away. They want to make sure they hear all of this good stuff so they can go back to John and tell him what Jesus was saying about it. Hey, boss, this is what Jesus told us about the blind and all that, but he also said a couple things about you. He had some good things to say about you. And the thing about the Lord Jesus Christ is when we get in our lowest moments, he doesn't kick the dirt on us and kick us while we're down. No. What does he do? He sends by that encouragement. Every time that I've been at my lowest point and that I didn't think there was any way that I was going to get out of the situation or the mess that I was in, every time Jesus sent something my way to encourage me, to get me to remember just exactly who he is in my life. Who and what he's done for me in my life. As they departed, meaning they were going to hear what Jesus said about John. And I can only conclude that they made it a point to hear every single thing that he said about John the Baptist. Now, if somebody was talking about your child or your husband or wife, you would get to where you might be out of sight, but you're going to you're going to make sure you catch everything that they say. I want to make sure I catch everything that they're saying about my loved one, whether it be good or bad. Whether if it's bad, I can go confront them about it. But if it's good, I'm going to go tell whoever it is, hey, so-and-so said this about you, and I wanted you to know about it. We have a preacher, I won't mention his name, but he's a little crazy. But he's good about complimenting people. And I've got somebody that I know that he ain't their favorite. We'll just say it that way. But we was in a meeting not too long ago, and he was saying all these good things about that person. And we went back and was like, I know how you feel about said preacher, but they didn't have nothing but good things to say. And we told them everything that they said, and they got to realizing maybe I'm being a little hard on that person. They appreciated the good words, but Jesus, this was no accident. In verse 4, he says, make sure you tell John what you hear and what you see. And then he made sure to tell them some good things that they can take back to John. I don't know about you, but it sure is nice when somebody says something good about you. I'd rather hear somebody give me a compliment than a criticism. Now, I'll take whatever. You want to criticize me? I take it in love. Because I've had that happen, and I don't begrudge anybody for the criticism because it happens a lot at the house. I'm saying that in love again. I want to point that out. Saying that in love. People don't want to take the criticism; they won't take the compliments. But in a position that I'm in, I got to take it all, and I'll take it all, and I'll take it in love. But what I want us to understand this morning is John, in the state that John was in, John was tired. John was weary. John was losing himself and losing himself in the what. I mean, listen, there's times when life hits us so hard, it feels like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. And we are not built for that. We are not built to handle a heavy burden. I mean, listen, I could give you so many examples of things that I've had to shoulder in my life, but the worst time was, in the worst instances, is when you're watching somebody that you love suffer and go through things that you cannot control, you can't do nothing about, and you just feel the weight of that situation, and you wish that there was something that you could do or say or buy or whatever the case may be to be able to get them out of that current circumstance or that current situation. But the best thing and the only thing that we can do is to get on our knees and to beg God to intervene in that situation. And the Bible tells us in our text, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden. And what'd he say? I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. I like this. We'll get into this tonight. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We can't handle things that are so heavy, but Jesus can. We are not built to shoulder the weight that's put upon us sometimes. But what did the Bible say in that last verse? Take my yoke upon you. That word yoke means to couple up with. We can't bear the weight of the burden, but we're yoked with Jesus, and He can. He can shoulder that weight. He can take that, whatever it is that we're going through, whatever it is that you're going through. The Bible tells us, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Well, I didn't get past the introduction, but we'll finish this up this evening. And I don't know, Miss Hannah, if you don't mind coming play a verse of song. I don't know what, I know of what some are going through, and I understand the severity of the situation and how it don't make, sometimes it just don't make good sense of why that we're in the situations that we're in. Sometimes it don't make sense to why we're having to go through things. I mean, we didn't ever understand why we had to endure all of that we had to endure with Malachi and the hospital and all the time that we spent there. And it wasn't easy. It was very hard. It was a very trying time in not only our lives, but our marriage and family. And you're having to spend so much time with one child and neglecting another. And I don't mean that in an ugly way. There's only so much that you can do in time you've got allotted. And when you're having to allocate all of this time to one situation, these other ones, they're neglected. Can't do everything you want to do because of the situations that we're in our lives. And I'm thankful that, again, we don't have to do these things alone. I'm thankful for how the Lord works everything out. The Lord worked everything out for us. And now we're on this side of it, and we can praise His name for everything that He done in that. But you might be going through something this morning that you just don't understand, or you're going through something and you're carrying the weight of it, and it's just too heavy. The Bible tells us in our text this morning, Jesus says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden." The Bible tells us, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light." If it was left up to us to shoulder all the things that we have to go through in this life, we'll be just like John. We'll be broken down. We won't even recognize who Jesus is anymore. But I'm thankful for what Jesus done. Jesus didn't berate him. He didn't do anything other than, you go back and you tell John everything that you see and hear. And by the way, I'm going to send a word of encouragement by his way. That way he knows that I hadn't forgot about him and that I still love him. He loves us this morning. No matter the situation, no matter the circumstance, it seems like there's no end to the tunnel, but all of a sudden, there's light there. Flies are attracted to that light, and so are we. I've been through some long tunnels before, and I'm not scared of the dark, but there's a difference between a darkness where there ain't no light and there's a little light. Been in some caves before to where there was no light whatsoever. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. But as soon as you see that, just a glimpse of that light, that's hope. And that's what that light represents. And I'm thankful for the hope that I have in Jesus this morning. He does not leave us He does not forsake us. He is right there, and he's bidding us to come unto him for help. I don't know your heart this morning. Let's all stand as she plays. If you may have a need, won't you come, lay it at the altar. Let Jesus help. Well, I appreciate your attendance. I appreciate your attention. I'll be back tonight at 5 o'clock. Continue to pray for Anna Mae and Miss Jill and Lindsay and Jamie and that whole situation. I'm thankful for Jamie. Jamie was also, he was like, I'm glad it happened while we were here, because if we'd have got home and this happened, she wouldn't have had a chance. But the Lord was good to her, and I'm thankful for that. Remember, is it okay if I mention what you told me? Y'all remember Miss Jennifer, was it, you said her sister? Miss Jennifer's sister passed away Friday. So remember Miss Jennifer and Brother Clay and that family. And that was her last family member. So, we'll remember them. Y'all remember them. Anybody got anything before we dismiss this morning? All right. Get Brother John if he'll dismiss us this morning. John.